Welcome to the Better Business Beat, your go-to source for insights, stories, and conversations that matter to our community. I'm your host, Mechele Mills, and each week we explore topics which impact the way we live, work, and do business here in East Texas. From smart consumer tips and local success stories to practical advice for navigating today's challenges, we are here to keep you informed, empowered, and connected. So, whether you're a consumer, a business owner, or someone who just loves supporting local organizations, this show is your front row seat to the people, trends, and ideas shaping our region. This week's guest on the Better Business Beat is John Soules Sr., a name that many East Texans already know. John is the founder of John Soules Foods, a trusted family-owned company which has grown to a nationally recognized brand. And he is the inspiration behind Soules Kitchen, which is a new branding effort for John Soules Foods, and that is bringing quality food and strong values to the table. So today, we are going to dig into something new, literally. John has launched Texas Organic, a company that is focused on organic soil solutions and sustainable practices which support healthier land, stronger agriculture, and better outcomes for future generations. So we will talk about why soil matters more than most people realize, and what led John into this new space, and also how his decades of business experience have shaped this next chapter. So please help us welcome John Soules Sr. Thank you, John, for joining us today.
My pleasure.
So, I would say most people in East Texas know who you are, but you've built a successful business in the food industry. Tell us a little bit more about this new business that you've started and how you kind of got into it.
Well, Mechele, about 30 years ago, a gentleman named Malcolm Beck came to Tyler and spoke about composting and earthworms. And I was fortunate enough to hear him speak, and just my brain caught on fire with the idea of doing things better. But it was quite some time before I had the freedom to step back from the food plant and do this. It was really kind of a passion for me.
You know, because we're thinking, well, you were in the food industry, and now you're into the soil industry, but they are related, because I've heard you say many times, we are what we eats, right?
Yes.
So tell us kind of how that connection works, and how important it is for our soil to be good in order for us to be good.
Well, honestly, I think as a society, America is just beginning to really rediscover how important soil content and micronutrition is to the quality, not just the volume, but the quality of the food that we eat. Lots of foods are grown with artificial stimulants, and that doesn't it may increase their production, but it necessarily doesn't mean that they are better for us.
Yeah, when they're producing things naturally. I don't know how much of this is proven, but we are not as healthy as we used to be. The quality of our food is not as good as it used to be. And it probably accounts for many of the diseases and things that we are seeing nowadays that we didn't have before.
Yes, I believe you're right.
So, what, for those who are unfamiliar with organic soil, what may be the biggest misconception people have about it? What do you want people to know about it?
Well, actually, there's the most important thing I would say about doing things organically is that they're just inherently more healthy. Fertilizer was invented, artificial fertilizer was invented about 1900. And since then, it's been so easy to have a truck spread over your pasture, or you open a sack of this or that and think that you're doing the best that can be done. And I'm not knocking artificial fertilizers, but that's just what they are. They're artificial. They're not real and authentic, and so they lack the ability to to feed and motivate, if you will, all the micronutrients and the microbiology life that lives within the soil.
So if you're growing something that's been fertilized with the artificial fertilizer versus the organic, good fertilizers, natural fertilizers, like have there been some testing? What are some of the results you've seen?
Uh, well, I would say actually, academically, A&M, UT Tyler, East Texas A&M in Commerce, a lot of universities are really starting to move big time, heavy research into what's the difference between ordinary and organic. And really, it's quite amazing what all they're beginning to discover that's missing from a nutritional level in food that doesn't have the proper ingredients in the soil itself.
So do they have any information as like what's missing in by using these artificial fertilizers? What are our fruits and vegetables, and then I guess our meat also, because they eat those fruits and vegetables. What is lacking now because of that?
Well, unfortunately, Michelle, I'm not a scientist enough to specifically tell you that, but I have visited with various professors, and I would say we're on the verge of an explosion of information, learning more about what we eat and how the quality or the lack of quality affects your health in general.
So, okay, so let's talk about how you started this new company. It takes a lot of courage. What lessons from your earlier business career helped you avoid maybe some common mistakes, or what did you take into this? How did you? What were some of the biggest lessons that you learned from your earlier career into this one? You're still involved with John Souls Foods, definitely,
Yes.
but what did you take from that into this new business?
Well, I never think about mistakes or quitting. I just concentrate on moving ahead.
Right.
But certainly, I would say, as any business, volume is important, and certainly we would hope that through your program here and other efforts, we're fixing to start a program through UT Tyler that will teach us better how to market our products.
Yeah.
But word of mouth at this point, as it was when we started the food business, word of mouth and recommendation from one customer to another is really what allowed us to grow. That plus a team of really good people, and we've tried to follow those same tenets in the Texas Organic as well.
So, what advice might you give to business owners who are considering pivoting to start something new like you did?
Seek as much outside help as you can possibly get, and try to build the best team. I'm just a big believer that the team is what gets the ball across the goal line, even though only one man carries the ball, or only one man puts it up and it goes through the hoop. But it takes everybody on the team to make that happen.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about your company. What do you guys do? Who do you guys serve? Who do you want to serve? And maybe even, where do you see this going?
Well, we currently serve, we do some TxDOT work. We serve large commercial landscape companies, homeowners, home builders, backyard gardeners. The area that we would hope to expand into is actual agricultural usage, basically pasture feeding people that have large plots of land, and instead of spreading artificial fertilizer. We would hope to have a chance to converse with them and explain to them how much better it is for the soil and for their pasture or garden yield to be using a better organic product.
So I used some of your worm castings in my I have just a little 4 foot by 8 foot raised bed, and I used the worm castings in that bed this year, and I had the best crop I've ever had. I mean, with my little crop, but I mean, and there's so much satisfaction in just eating something that you've grown and knowing that it's good and organic and healthy. So I, from my own experience, know that it's good stuff.
Yes, I have I have a picture that a good friend sent me from his garden, and I had given him some earthworm castings, and he used too many, and he showed me a picture of an eggplant that was about the size of a football, and I told him that he had used too many. Although really, when you're using something natural like compost or earthworm castings, you really can't use too many, other than just from a costing standpoint. But you can't burn your plant like you can with too much fertilizer.
So the eggplant was still good to eat.
Beg your pardon?
The eggplant was still good to eat. It's okay to eat.
I didn't get a chance at it, but I still have the picture of it. Yes, it was pretty phenomenal.
I actually had a huge squash as big as my head, so.
So you know.
And I have a big head.
Yeah.
So.
Well, one thing different that we do about raising our earthworms, I don't know of another company that does this, but instead of raising them in dirt, soil, like most producers do, we actually raise our worms in pure finished compost.
Oh.
So their castings are sort of like earthworm castings on steroids.
Oh, wow.
That's my own term. I've not had anybody academically verify that, but they're pretty souped up and powerful. And one of the classes that I've taken from Dr. Sherman in North Carolina State on vermiculture, she's proven academically that castings will increase your aromatics off of flowers and the flavonoids off of herbs and spices 300 to 400%.
Oh my goodness.
And that is academically proven.
That's amazing. Okay, so you didn't just start this business and open it up and just, you actually did a lot of research. You know a lot about this topic. Tell us about, what courses you've taken, what certifications. You've even got, you even have done some phenomenal things just with the company itself, getting certified in the state of Texas, I recall.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I've probably taken over the years 11 or 12 different one-week classes in composting, and I have attended, to my memory, either 3 or 4 of Dr. Sherman's classes in North Carolina on vermiculture. And in attending these classes, the compost certification classes, I discovered that there were only 14 states that had chapters certified by U.S. Compost Council. So about 4 years ago, we began to work on how could we get Texas certified. And after a couple of years of a lot of paperwork and questions and answers and changes and that sort of thing, Texas was approved January of 2022, was approved by the U.S. Compost Council as an official state chapter. And actually, we were number 15, and since then, 3 more states have seen what we did. There hadn't been a new state chapter in about 9 years, and they saw what we did, and in the past couple of years, there have been 3 more state chapters created, and composting is, it is a growing movement in this country, and has been used and is still being used in other countries around the world to this day.
So you getting that chapter started here in the state of Texas, what does that do for the state? What does that do for the farmers and And who else does that help in the state?
Well, the chapter, we were not the only composters in the state. There's Living Earth Technology out of Dallas and Conroe. There's New Earth out of San Antonio and Houston and Conroe. There are other composters. Green Cow and Black Cow are two that deal primarily with cattle manure. Green Cow is over in Stephenville, and Black Cow is up in the Texas Panhandle. But any compost is certainly better for the soil and better for what grows out of the soil than sacked fertilizer.
Tell us a little bit more about the process. How does the process work for us to get the products? So you don't just do worm castings, right? So tell us how you go about creating the products that you
Sure.
have.
Well, basically, our compost is made with 100% what they call forest residue. It's trees and brush and trimmings and grass clippings and leaf blowings and anything that comes out of the soil. We run it through our grinders and break it down to a small enough particle, and we wet it. Good compost starts with 50% moisture. We wet it down, then we put it into windrows, and compost needs to be tight enough that it will heat. The aerobic bacteria will heat it up, but it needs to be loose enough that it can breathe, because those aerobic bacteria require the food that they eat, the chips of wood and the leaves and grass clip, that sort of thing. But also they have to have moisture and they have to have oxygen. So you want your pile to breathe, and you want it to be moist enough but not soaky wet.
Okay, and then so that's how you and then where did you get your worms, or how did you get?
Well, we started with we buy the worms from companies that produce worms that breed them. Most people, they're basically many types of different worms.
Okay.
But the two types that are most popular are called red wigglers, which people use to create castings, and the process of vermiculture means using worms to dispose of manure, food waste. That they'll eat a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side of it, night crawlers are the great big worms that look like little garden snakes that people like to fish with. But they're kind of lethargic and don't reproduce rapidly, and so that our crop is made up strictly of red wigglers.
Okay. I remember growing up, my mom was a huge gardener, and I kind of inherited that. But I remember she always was happy when she saw worms in the garden. So when I was little, they were kind of gross, but now I'm happy to see them in the garden too. So.
No,